because we know that in the human nature, especially in the West, we have a tendency to accuse someone of doing things that we do, in fact, because we usually talk about ourselves when we attack someone, when we are talking the proxy wars, doing some kind of a different kind of war compared to the conventional one, about stealing technologies and such, because this was, as you said, a huge accusation for many decades that the Chinese people were going in Western countries to steal. I think the word in English is the patent, the innovations that you can create. But would it be a conspiracy theory to imagine that if Trump and the administration is allowing so many students to come, is to maybe try to do the same thing? Not the same thing, because it was an accusation. We don't know if they stole so much, the Chinese people. They mostly came, learn, and came back to create innovations. But would it be a conspiracy theory to think that they could turn so many students into maybe agents to retaliate against China?
You know, it's interesting. Most of the patent litigation come from American companies suing American companies. And you can see those in the courts in Texas, Delaware. You will see the patent wars that are going on. But, you know, what is really protection nowadays? I think, you know, Pandora's box has been opened with AI. Whether you're in film, whether you're in video work, whether you're in accounting, whether you're in law, it's wide open. Bringing students in so they can be spies, I mean, that it may make for a good movie, but I think if we're going to talk about, you know, being realistic here, those days have sailed many years ago. In fact, how can we look the American people in the straight face by saying, well, the Chinese are coming in to steal technology, but we're forcing them that when they become successful and make a company like TikTok, our government is allowed to buy it, state-sponsored purchase of a company that we think we should have or purchase. No, I think what America tried is they tried to block companies out there. I mean, and this hurts. This hurts the Americans. And I don't want to just focus on America. I also want to focus, you know, on my own country of Canada and other countries that have this fear of being monitored. I mean, come on, man. Our Canadian government has its own monitoring service. You know, the UK has its own monitoring service. The Americans have their own monitoring service. Does anybody really care? I mean, this whole thing about our privacy, I mean, we're all there. Sorry, we're all there. I mean, like, yeah, they can watch us. If they want to watch where we're going, okay, go ahead, watch where we're going. But what it comes down to is, at the end of the day, our lives, we want to improve our lives, okay? And China is here to give that opportunity to people to improve their lives, whether it's through technology. I'll give you the best example I can give you here is most payments here are done with a digital wallet. And what happens is when you take currency, cash out of the system, the amount of crime, whether it's organized crime, whether it's proceeds of crime, whether it's moving multi-millions of dollars around to import, export bad things, that is gone. You can't, if you walked out on the street here with $300 in cash, that would raise people's awareness. They would say, they look at cash here as something like, why do you have money? Why do you have actually cash? So a lot of digital distribution of money here has got rid of a lot of, we'll say it, bad industries. Mm-hmm. Give you an example. People that moving fentanyl in the United States probably got money attached to it. We'll take money out of the equation. How are you going to move something? For what? For free? You're going to trade 500 cars for, I don't even know how fentanyl is distributed, but you take that out of the system and you see crime drop immediately. So this whole thing about technology, stealing, theft, man, if I was an American company, I would just get on the first plane and come over and say, you know what, guys, how can we do business together? And the Chinese would say, okay, we'll do this for that, and you do that for that. and you get on with it. But trying to protect patents, I'm sorry, but in 2025, yeah, I get it. Patents are important. But as we're seeing just here, I'm in a city, Motor City, we'll call it, the capital of, I guess, new energy vehicles here in China. British companies are benefiting here. German companies are benefiting here. China doesn't necessarily want to take over the automotive business. Sure, they like competition, and yes, they want to sell millions of their cars. But if you see some of the cars that are being built here, they're using German brakes. They're using Pirelli tires or Goodyear tires or Michelin tires. They're using some French components. They're like, hey, man, we don't need to invent the wheel. We don't want to open up where something has already been, a masterpiece. Let's just collaborate. And that word needs to be said many times, collaboration. China is all about working with international companies and doing it. I'll give you the best example I can give you about patents. And this should silence anybody. Where's the iPhone made? It's made right here. Why didn't China copy it?
That's a good question.
They have it all here. The manufacturing's done in Shenzhen. Why isn't it copied? How does that iPhone not get shown to the public before its actual launch date? Because there's trust here in an industry. Now, yeah, we got competitors, but Huawei can definitely stand on its own 2 feet when it comes up to a mobile phone, and they're okay too. So that's my thing is when we hear about this patent stealing, we have the world's largest manufacturer of consumer electronics, and that's called Apple, making them right here in China, and they haven't been copied.
And since we are talking about the technology, are we in the West, based on the information that we receive about China, which is not a lot and maybe not of great quality, are we underestimating the breakthroughs and the growth of the innovations in the technological field? Because you mentioned AI, we talked about vehicles and such, but especially AI. Is China maybe developing the most powerful AI in the world, you think?
Well, yeah. In China and America, look who is powering the AI industry for software engineers, computer technicians. Most of them are coming from China, and they're helping North American companies build it. So not only are North American companies building by the smarts of the Chinese, but also China is also benefiting from it. And some of the Chinese are, as you say, coming back to China, to their motherland, where they're given the opportunity and the investment that is needed. I think, the Western countries, I think they're amazing. There is still opportunity for everybody to win big. France can win big. Italy can win big. These countries are admired by the Chinese. They admire them. If you ask a Chinese person, where would you like to go on vacation? I want to go to Europe. I want to go to America. I want to see these countries. I want to go to Hollywood. I want to go to Disneyland. These are iconic countries to Chinese people, but we need to get past this us against them, shut their technology down. Yeah, the Chinese are investing in technology. Their internet speeds are not, the 5G, the 6G networks, those aren't designed for somebody that has a mobile phone and says, wow, okay, I can open up, Google faster now, or I can open up YouTube faster. I can watch at a better speed. No, those type of technologies are used in, for example, the medical industry, where operations can be done. A doctor could be sitting in an office and actually doing an operation on a patient 2,000 miles away with a precision of error of pretty much 0.000, and doing that because the communication is so fast. Some of the construction sites have unmanned construction equipment building some of these buildings here. They are done by guys sitting in the office, running these machines. Less people dying in construction because they're being done by 5G technology. The other thing that I think where the West is missing the point here is the new energy vehicle sector here. It's not going away. It's coming on, and it's coming on strong. Now, of course, this is not driven by a climate strategy or a Greta Thunberg push. This is done on a country that says, let's give this a shot. Maybe, just maybe, we can pull this off. Now, firsthand, I was in a city here of 36 million. 6 years ago, we had some smog in the city. 6 years later, I would say over 50% of the automobiles on the road here are battery powered. And the sky is opening up. And it is blue now. And the thing about it is when we say to people, they'll say, energy cars, man, golf cart with a battery. I used to think the same thing too. When I arrived here from Canada, I loved the old American muscle cars and the petro and, the machine. And then you step into a new energy vehicle here, like I did 6 years ago or 5 years ago when I was driving in, I guess it was called a car that was called an Avatar, AVATR, some spelled not like the movie Avatar, a little bit different. And I was in this car driving down the street. I said, what a fantastic car. Saw the display in it. And I thought, oh, wow, good that Chinese are still making gas-powered cars. And I got out of the car and I went to the back to see the name of the car. And I saw no tailpipes, no exhaust fumes, or no mufflers on the cars. I said, there's no way that can be a battery-powered car. No way. It's impossible. And it was. And I said, this is going to come to our countries. Now, whether we embrace it and do a collaboration with them, we'll save our automotive industry. Don't think for a second that we call it range anxiety. An 800 or 1,400 kilometer distance battery is going to stress out people anymore. It's not. And I don't know who drives 1,400 kilometers on one charge, but batteries are not the issue anymore. These cars starting on fire are not issues anymore. These are major, major investments. These are not cheap cars. These are some of the most refined automobiles in the world, to the fact that we are hearing that a major Italian manufacturer has purchased 3 of Xiaomi's sports car to reverse engineer to find out what is really going on in these cars for the sports car industry. And when we see that happen, this is not a climate change objective of the government. People might say, yes, but the Chinese are discounting the cars. There's, the government is putting money into to hurt our North American market. Just look at General Motors in Canada, how much money they took during, the fallout when the financial crisis. They took $10 billion from the Canadian government, and they still haven't paid it back. So if anybody's being subsidized, it's a lot of these manufacturers. And I got to tell you, again, if we're going to talk about France here, France has an advantage here in the new energy vehicles because France has quite a large automotive industry. They have a lot of experts that can help. It's not just about the engine. It's not just about the battery. It's about the aesthetics of a car, understanding what people want for a car. Just to give you an example on what a young buyer for a car here in China wants now is they look at petrol cars, they call them dumb cars. And their cars, they call smart cars. So they say, and they don't say that to be, to be mean. They just say, oh, I don't want the dumb car where you turn the thing on and the radio comes. No. I want a car that has 0 gravity seats, that allows my internal windows to be tinted to the right type of spec. I want 24 speaker surround sound. I want 1,400 kilometers extended range. I want LiDAR technology where my car parks for me. When I go into the shopping mall, I want to be able to summons my car to come pick me up autonomously out front. I want the seats to massage. I want onboard lighting for my friends. I want a 28-inch pull-down screen so that my friends can be entertained in the back. And I want the smell of my car to be perfect. That's what a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old Chinese is now an entry-level car buyer. So unless you can maintain those standards, what used to be one of the biggest selling markets for France, for Italy, for the United States and Canada, the Chinese market, they've lost market share. But there is still a chance for our countries to benefit, and that is in collaboration, because they really respect a lot of these countries, especially in Europe. When it comes to automotives, they know that the history of automobiles in Europe, they are big Formula One fans. They love watching Formula One on the weekend. It's one of the biggest growing markets. And China, again, is a big basketball fan. They love football, even though they can't put some of the best teams on the courts, or even in basketball. Well, I guess they can as well. But when it comes to football, if China can't succeed in a business, they'll join it, and they'll either join it as a spectator or they'll join it. So it's really a win-win opportunity for the collective West countries that have pretty much said no to the Belt and Road, but that opportunity is there. And you can walk in any fair. Just to let your viewers know, there's one major fair. It's twice a year because it's so big. It takes place in the city called Guangzhou. You can see these videos on my site. It's called the Canton Fair. And over 60 to 70,000 companies, and some international, but majority China, under one roof for 3 or 4 days. I tell you, that is the best plane ticket you can get. Go down there, walk the floors. You can see what will be under the Christmas tree coming up in the next 3 or 4 months. But I mean, that takes place here in October. You can see a lot of those. I visited thousands of the stalls. All those videos are on my channel as well. And pretty much the show is pretty much free to get in there. I think you pay a small fee to get a buyer badge, and you can just walk around and they will give you the price of what it would cost, at the minimum order quantity. And you might be able to say, wait a minute, I can make a business here. So yeah, hopefully I've answered that for you.
Yeah, sure. And I can really follow your advice and say to the audience to really go to Reportify Media and Travel if you want to find the full name on YouTube. The videos are well produced and really interesting, especially this event that will really blow your minds.
Raphael, have you been to it before?
No, I've never been there, but the videos that I watched, I was really amazed by one thing: is the scale, how big it was, how clean it was, because on your videos you have the drones, so filming the streets and the area. And something that is really always shocking for me is how clean the mega cities or the huge cities in China are, which is the total opposite that with what we have now, especially in France or even in many countries in Europe, and I think the US, depending on the state you are living in, where we are declining more and more. So it was really striking for me.
If we talk about the social part of people here, they rely on the government, and there's accountability. Remember, these are not senators or congressmen that are being financed by institutions or lobbyists to do what they're told. The governmental system here is very different from what we have in the West. It is a system that does a 5-year plan. They meet each year. You have the NPC, the CPPCC, which basically is, the party. Now, the party consists of almost 110 million Communist Party members. That is something that the party members earn. They earn this through either academics. They earn it through, goodwill, what they've done to the nation. Whenever there's a catastrophe or a major thing that's happened, if it's the People's Liberation Army, they can help out. If it's an earthquake or something major thing that's happened. When it's a pandemic, maybe it's actual party members that are there volunteering, also volunteering part of their salary to be there. Now, that word party, the Communist Party, people in the West, when they hear that, they say, whoa, Jesus, Communist Party. This is one of the most capitalistic countries I've ever been in. China is not closed. I mean, tonight, if I wanted to go out, I can go out to a 5-star hotel. I can order champagne if I wanted. And of course, is Moet Chandon. There's where the French benefited. The Chinese know about these brands. We were just walking in the shopping mall today. We saw Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all these major brands, Starbucks. So they are here. They are consumers. They love buying products. Yeah, they also like buying the products online as well. So it's not a society that is, and to be fair, it's not North Korea. I mean, we have this image, and I can see it where people have this image of Big Brother watching them here. No, how are you going to watch 1.4 billion people? No, but people can go out. They can go to dance clubs. They can go to bars. They can smoke cigarettes. But there is responsibility, and that comes from people, parenting, schools. Once again, no one's going to bring in we'll call it, I don't even know how to bring this into the conversation. But let's just say that some of the North American schools have changed some of their narratives or what they've taught kids over the last 10 to 15 years. You're not going to pull that off here in China. Oh, no. Education is hands off. You're not going to bring in a certain type of drive or ideology to students and try to disrupt the country doing it. So we do see a society that actually cares for each other. They do hold the government accountable. They do. They have a hotline. I don't know if your viewers are aware of it, but they have a hotline here in the city and in the country, and you will get a call back about the problem sometimes within 48 hours. And why the cities are so clean? Each city has, each municipality has its own districts. Its own districts have their own budgets. They have their own more employment, and they think the cleaner the streets, the safer the streets. Get this, guys. The cleaner and the safer they are during the day, but not only at night, triggers the nighttime economy. And China believes it's not just a country that never sleeps. Money never sleeps. And that's what they believe here. It's very capitalist. It is. It's crazy. But you see these cities at night. You'll see all the buildings here. And you'll see it on my videos. All the skyscrapers at night, they light them up. And and that excites people. Just outside my window here, I wish I could show you a bridge tonight, walking into the city skyline. There'll probably be 10,000 people on that, just there to enjoy the nightlife, walking with families, buying ice creams, having some Chinese food, and supporting a nighttime economy, not just the daytime economy.
That's really interesting for French audience, I'm sure. You know why? Because in France now, we have more and more policies that we can see being applied in the cities. They are turning off the lights during the night for the planet, for the global warming. So when it's dark, you don't have any lights in the streets because they want to save some energy. But the problem is now is the people, and in the city center, for example, I was living in Bordeaux, in the city of the southwest, and even in the city center, they were turning off the lights, and you had a huge rise of criminality because the women that were trying to go back home, they were in the total darkness, and they were being attacked, unfortunately. And this is something that we are seeing more and more because we have ecologists that took the power in many cities in France. So it's really the opposite view that we have right now with what you said about China. So it's interesting. And
it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary because the lighting here, they're using technology. They're using LED. They're using stuff that uses way, way, way less energy. Okay. So that's the first part. The other one is when you talk about safety here, we can do a comparison. the metro systems here are very safe. They go late into the night. They're very protective. There's security all the way. We call it end to end. Okay. There is a mandate that the streets have to be lit, safety for travel. The other one is that, when I visited my country of Canada, a few years back, I would go out and I would hear everybody say, well, we'll have one drink. We got to go home. And I said, well, it's a great night. Let's go have some fun. Can't drive. Okay. I understand there's, there's laws and rules and regulations. And then they said, well, here in China, to take a taxi into the city, basically, I would say 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers is about €2. So why would you drive? Now you're supporting that nighttime economy there. The drivers are getting rewarded, not necessarily charging somebody €50 to get into the city center, but they would much rather do 20 or 30 trips, still get their money instead of trying to drive somebody into maybe a dangerous area or a dead thing. So it's, as you say, Raphael, it's a complete opposite.
And what about the famous myth that apparently is supposed to prove that China is living, the Chinese people are living under a dictatorship, the social credit system. And you even mentioned AI and technology, and based on the reports from the Western medias, we will see like the final transformation of China really soon with the AI, where everybody will be controlled, watched, and it will be over for the freedom of the individual. So what about it?
I want everybody to understand, I live here, okay? I'm in China right now. I live here. The Chinese are starting to ask me about that now. They're saying, Alex, got a strange call from my friend in Alabama or my friend in, Naples, Italy. They're asking me about this social credit. I said, sorry, what? They said, is there a new credit card here in China that we're not aware of? I said, no, they're talking about the social credit system. They go, well, what does that even mean? I said, well, apparently you have a report card if you do something wrong, or you won't be able to take a train or take a plane. She says, okay, well, let me think. So my Chinese friend would respond to this. China has what we call exit border, where we leave the country. We do see border patrol at our exit, okay? And we see them coming in. Some European countries used to do that. I think in post-Soviet countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, they used to have that. They've got rid of them. Now there's free flow of people. But exit means if you're exiting the country, you will see passport control on the way out, foreigners and Chinese. Now, if you have a criminal record, if you have a litigation lawsuit that you owe somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you had a court date and you didn't go to court, or you are a fugitive, you will be caught. You will not be allowed to get on a plane to fly to a foreign country and be a fugitive. Now, if that is, he said, if that's what they mean by the social credit score, we have it. If it means that you've missed payments on your credit card, you might have a bad credit rating, just like you have a bad credit rating in the United States and Canada and France and whatever. But social credit scores, no idea. I'm way I would like to. I would, and if somebody can tell me where it is, if it's in Beijing or a city and they have this source, I will call them up. I will call up the connections in media, and I will go to this alleged Cash Patel social credit core system here in China, and I will blow the doors off of it. But one thing that I can tell the viewers in China, watch my videos. I have over 250 videos. No one stops me anywhere from actually putting out content. I've done documentaries on the democracy of China, going into school systems. I've gone into the hospitals here. I've gone into government entities, to banks. This is one of the most easiest places to film. And I think what's irritating a lot of the skeptical people on China is you see these videos on China that say, I was shocked when I went to Beijing. I was shocked when I went to China. You goddamn right. They are shocked because they just can't understand how cities like Shanghai, that has about 30 million people, looks so clean, feels so clean, and is a great city when they were told that it was Pyongyang, North Korea. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, interesting question. The social system, if any viewers have a contact where they know where the headquarters is, I'm more than happy to go down there and see it.
And I think it's a really important clarification of the situation, because we can see on social media some fake videos now, and we cannot really trust anymore what we see because of AI mostly, but
sure,
also
absolutely.
Not only AI, but just fake informations on just a recording that doesn't have any context. And we can see, even myself, I need to say this, I saw many videos, and I asked to a friend living in China if it was true, where apparently, based on the videos that you can see that are making millions of views, and I think mostly for the Western population. So it's when you act in the streets, you can watch in live your social score. So if you don't throw away something in a trash bin, if you cross the sidewalk when the light is red, you will lower your score or raise it a little, and you can get advantages, or you can even lose some kind of privileges. This is the things that I saw on videos that were fake, obviously, but still it's something that we see on the social media. So the clarification was really important.
Okay, so there's two things I want to answer. Some of those cameras capturing people now, I think the British people, the audience, if there's part of the British audience here, will understand that some people, if you throw garbage on the ground, the local police will give you a ticket. That happens in the UK. I've seen many videos of that. But where you see people's videos here in China, where let's say they've gone across the road and they didn't wait for the light and their image comes up on the screen, yeah, sometimes those videos are real. And sometimes we'll call it a wall of shame for a few seconds. The reason why China has done that is to not go, gotcha, we're going to send you this. Maybe there will be a ticket in the future for it, whether it's through AI. Maybe. I can definitely tell you that will probably happen in Western countries. But before AI was here, I used to see there were certain cameras that would watch people, and you could see the sign up front saying, please be careful. Cars are coming across the street. Don't jump the crosswalks, right? Now, remember this part that I'm telling you, people, okay? The reason why they would set up these cameras in some of these big intersections is some of these cities 15 years ago didn't even have cars, okay? And now we're seeing some of these mega cities have hundreds of cars. And when the government started to see people not looking right and left when they just crossed the street and were being hit by cars, they had to do something about it.
Really?
So they put up these big screens and said, hey, tell that person, or you're on there, you don't want to be on there. Stop, look both ways, don't cross the crosswalk. Because people didn't even know how to gauge how fast cars were. We were used to it. I mean, it's a sport in France. I mean, in Paris, if you want to get across the street, or even in Vietnam, I mean, you can see, getting across the street is a challenge. But yeah, some of these were designed for safety, to actually alert the public that, if you're there walking across a crosswalk with a 2-year-old, it's in your best ability not to get hit by a car. But yes, some of that technology was used. I have heard that potentially there are systems in place that people that do maybe break these types of rules could either be warned by SMS. To this day, maybe there are people that have had a ticket. I don't know. I don't know any foreigners have had any tickets or anyone, but might not be a bad idea in the future. Got to remember, if we're not breaking the law and we're not doing anything illegal, we really shouldn't have to worry about it. And if we're worried about, AI being used that way, I don't think we're going to be able to stop it anywhere in the world when these police systems that like to make money on speeding speeding cameras have been around for years. I don't know if they use them a lot in France still. Are they still using speed cameras in France? Snapping people's
and they are
license plates?
putting more and more of them.
And let me guess, since they're part of the European Union, probably all tags on plaques on cars are probably maybe being shared information right through the European Union to give people tickets to pay. Never know.
Yeah. So the thing that is also interesting, and we will soon arrive at the end of this interview, that is really fascinating. So thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Also, I will not ask something about a myth, but about a misconception that we have, I think, in the West. Because now we talked about the social credit system that doesn't exist like some people think in the West. But also we need maybe to talk about the population and how the Chinese think about living collectively and how they cooperate together, and the difference of civilization that we have with the West and China. Let me explain. So quickly, it seems that in the West we have the individuality that is really strong. We are really focused on individual freedom, and we hate when we have some binding laws, things like that, because we know the history of Europe and even now in the West. So we need freedom and we don't like to respect the law. When I was living in Japan, I discovered that the Japanese people, and it was strange to me to summarize this like that, but it seems that you couldn't meet an individual that would tell you what he think really personally about the politics, like a French guy that will debate a lot. He was mostly focused on just having a peaceful life and trying to follow the rules, but not because he was a slave of a dictatorship, but it was just natural for them to just cooperate and don't act like a Latin guy. I mean, from the close to the Mediterranean Sea, always complaining, always debating, and not trying to follow the rules. I'm being serious. This is really what I witnessed in Japan, at least. So maybe there is this kind of difference also in China.
What a wonderful question. It is. It really is truly a very deep question. The Chinese people, they do have a voice. I'll give you an example. We could say this is a nation that is closed. They're the largest travelers in the nation. In the world. More Chinese travel than more countries globally. Hundreds of millions of Chinese travel, and coming up on their big national day. They travel everywhere. Now, they don't land in countries and say, I've got to get on Google. I've got to see what the West is talking about. Get me on the North American social media networks. I've been deprived of this. They have their own social medias here. Look where TikTok came from. If that is not one of the largest opportunities to display your individuality, to display your talent, to be positively indoors, or to even be critically acclaimed. These are applications that were invented here in China to give the opportunity for Chinese people, young, old, to have the opportunity to express what they want, their opinions. And they do. Oh, yeah, they do. But you see, in the West, when we say we want to be free, now that means we want to be free to be a jerk, free to be a person that can insult somebody, or look at me, I can say something bad about the president and nothing's going to happen to me. The president in this country is respected. Whether us as Westerners want to accept that, it's none of our goddamn business. But these people have watched an absolute miracle happen in 30 years here. This is not a country that's on its knees anymore, begging in the IMF for loans. This country is making a difference globally, and it's leading. And they do have their opinions. They can travel where they want to travel. Now, do they talk in an open space about the government? I would say probably not. Are they fearing that? No. As I said before, what are they going to complain about? Oh, gee, we just had a $1.5 billion new train station open up. Oh, well. Oh, I really like going to my sister city, Chengdu, which is 400 kilometers away by car, but I can take a bullet train, 110 trips a day for $12. Okay, can't complain about that. No one's getting robbed. Can't complain about that. The tax system is very, very low here. The hospital system is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Everybody's got a doctor. And most institutions here pay for an annual checkup for a clean bill of health of its people. The highways are amazing. 60,000 kilometers of high-speed rail, bridges every day opening up, infrastructures, new airports, new train stations, new highways, new buildings, new everything. So what are they going to sit there and create a theater about a government? The way the Chinese people look at it, Raphael, to give it to you in a probably the easiest way, the government is, go guys, go deal with the big boy problems, go deal with the infrastructure, go deal with the international community. We just want to have a fun time. We want to drink our bubble teas. We want to go to KTV. We want to sit around a table with a bunch of people. And no, we don't want to inflict harm and inflict pain and see people robbed. And it'd be absolutely horrifying to see something like that happen. So are they individual? Maybe they're individuals in their own way, maybe not the Western way where we want to be loud and discovered. They do it online. No problem.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. I think it's really important to have this perspective, because we are talking about a world that we are not living in, and we have so much propaganda and not enough
I can imagine.
information. So once again, I will say, don't hesitate to watch the videos of Alex on Reportify Media and Travel. I would like to end the interview with a geopolitical subject, if you don't mind, because now we have the war between Russia and Ukraine. We also had the conflict between Israel and Palestine. So we have a lot of tensions around Europe and in the West. And we know that China tried to promote peace. They tried to end propose many solutions and even a plan for peace between Ukraine and Russia. Trump failed to accelerate the negotiations. And so now we have NATO that is trying to reinforce the narrative that Russia apparently wants to invade the West, which I personally think is totally crazy and false. But still, we have now the organization in Europe to improve the infrastructure, to raise the military, have a bigger army, have more funds for this. What is the position of China? And maybe also you can say quickly about the Chinese population relating to these matters. How does China view the evolution of the world? Do they see the Western world as a bomb or something that could be solved with peace? And when I say a bomb, it's a bomb that could explode.
Key word here in China: diplomacy. Diplomacy, 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 diplomacy. China is not in it for an instant reaction, an instant solution, but they will be there. When this conflict is over, they will be there rebuilding. Of course they will, because they are one of the largest countries in the world that help countries build outside of its own country. Okay, China knows that they're going to be needed to help rebuild both of these situations, geopolitical firestorms that are happening today. But I can tell you, if China was not there to keep these economies going, and don't tell me that the Ukraine is not importing Chinese goods. Of course they are. I can identify some of them already on the screen and what they use in their warfare. But also, we might say, wow, the Russians got the Chinese on side. If the Chinese were really supporting Russia, this war would have been over 3 years ago. Okay. If they really were supporting them the way they do. NATO is supporting Ukraine quite actively for the tune of, I would say we're heading towards $1 trillion. Now, when it comes to China wanting to have peace, yeah, of course they want peace. They like prosperity. They've had years of humiliation, of wars that they never want to go back in that time. But how are they going to get out of this mess? They're not stupid. You could just see some of the ambassadors that sat in the latest UN talks with the Israel-Gaza. Just listen to some of these spokespeople, the Ministry of Defense here in China, the cultural and tourism heads that go to these missions to the United Nations. They're not easily fooled, but they understand that if they are dragged into this conflict, it could make matters catastrophic. Now, why hasn't the West found a solution? Good luck bullying a country like Russia that if it wanted to, and if it is backed into the corner, and this should be major alarm bells for NATO, do not back this country into a corner, because they have at their disposal enough nuclear artillery to destroy the world probably 100 times over. So we know that, no, stop telling people that Russia is going to collapse. Russia is in tatters. Their economy is in tatters. Maybe that's why China is there to support, because if you threw the Russian economy into tatters, then you throw Russia into a very, very desperate situation. But all we have to do is look at the history books here. There was agreements tentative in 2014-15. They're called the Minsk I, Minsk II agreement. Go read them if you haven't. They're on the internet. You will clearly see, very clearly see in those documentations that the Ukraine government has admitted that, yes, they fired upon their own people. They shut the water off. They shut the electricity off. They destroyed the airports, and they cut the pension and the banking system off. They said that in the Minsk I, Minsk II agreement, and they would give people autonomy. Well, we've seen what happens now when you get the collective West in there, the military-industrial complex in there that are making these major bombs and major artillery that is being used. They're prolonging it, and China wants nothing to do with it. And that's why you saw on display here on September 3rd, China show what they had. And if anybody can put two and two together to figure out that this war would have been over if China was supplying Russia. But we're not there yet. And I hope we won't go down that path. Geopolitical wise, China is in the background there trying to, balance both of these powers here. And you see even Trump is now starting to back away from this extended tariffs on oil. And he's doing it very politely to say to the Europeans, okay, if you do this, and this, then we'll come in. And the Europeans can't do that. So I hope we're going to get to an end here with some peace. So much money has been wasted of the European taxpayers' money. That money would have been well spent putting back into the safety and the economies of the collective West countries. I'm sure France, the French people would probably like to see less money being shipped off into, who knows, some vacuum with any accountability. Seeing, Russia hasn't even had to, take on NATO. It's pretty much been drained of any assets it's had over the last 4 years. So I don't even know how effective NATO would be because with the coalition of the willing, they've pretty much spent everything they can. And we're going into a cold winter.